folks. And this isn't religion right here. This is history. Anyone, whether you believe in God or not, cannot deny history. Okay? Whether you believe the Bible is true. And guess what? A lot of people who claim the Bible isn't true, it's not because they truly believe that. It's because they haven't actually read it in its proper context. You read it through the lenses of the deceivers. Okay? You read it. Somebody, oh, it's the white man. Liar. I can prove to you today that this book is not the white man's book. Okay? This book chronicles from the beginning all races of people, their positions on earth, and where they would be prophetically, even until from their infancy up into our current prophetic times. Ain't no white man's book. This book is the history for the earth, for the universe. And no one, no matter what religion you are in, can go, and if you want to, Google it, 70 AD, Vespasian and Titus, and see if what Christ foretold didn't happen, according to secular history. Right? And they shall, speaking of the people of the temple.
And they shall, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
By the edge of the sword. So who destroyed our people in Jerusalem? Rome. Edomites. Read.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And we're living in the times of the Gentiles, the time, and divide of times. We're at the end of that. So that tells us the people in Israel today and the Gentiles who went into Israel in 1948, Romans, are all Gentiles, which means they are non-Israelites according to bloodline. Israel has been overrun by Gentiles. Okay? And Christ said it would happen until the times they would have to rule be fulfilled. So the true people of Israel would be led away captive into all nations, slaves, slave ships, getting colonized by the Roman Empire that was sent out. France, Spain, Great Britain, they all are part of the beast, the Roman Empire. Now, going into this lesson, hit the like button. The true Israelites were deceived, right? Because we know, according to the doctrine, Christ's initial mission was to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? All of the 12 disciples were Israelites, including Matthias, who they drew a lot to become the treasurer after Judas betrayed Christ, and later Paul the apostle to the Gentiles. Okay? These were all Israelite people. Now, let me make it clear. They were not Israelites according to religion. There's no such thing. There's no 5-year program like you have under Judaism to be converted to an Israelite. Either you are an Israelite according to bloodline or you're not. Right? So Christ said, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel in Matthew 10 And as you go, disciples, Peter and others, teach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, which means the next kingdom is for you. Now, of course, the resistance for this kingdom would be the Roman Empire, the same people who destroyed Jerusalem. So after Christ's death, the disciples, Peter in particular, started writing letters to all the provinces and areas our people were scattered in the old world, to let them know the one that was prophesied, the true Messiah who will one day return, has accomplished his first part in the prophecy as the sacrifice. See? And that eventually he'll return to gather those who stand under the laws of Moses, as well as hold the doctrine that Christ left the disciples. So this is why, Elder Lawyer, let's go to James, the disciple, as well as Peter, whom Christ left the keys to. Let's go to James 1, verse 1.
Yes, sir. Book of James 1 and 1.
James 1, verse 1. Read.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yeshua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
Now listen to this clearly. Right after Christ's death, the disciples were given all power to begin to spread the true doctrine. Now, this was before Jerusalem would eventually get decimated by the Romans. So this is a letter here. Even after Christ's death, James, a servant, said what? A servant of God and Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. This is the heading of a letter. Now, if it didn't matter who the 12 tribes were, and Christ's death now changed everything like the Christian churches are lying about, why are the letters are being headed and sent to a particular people who are scattered? Right? Listen to this. So it's no different than if we were living back then and was scattered in captivity here in America, and this letter was being sent. See? To us being scattered even further than the old world. This letter would be directly to us. Those who suffered under imperialism and was sold as slaves by the Roman Empire. This letter, if the disciples were living during the time of us going into slave ships, this letter would have been to us. And that's not to say that there isn't what? Messages that's sent to the Gentiles. But the Gentiles cannot open up my letter, and neither should we be able to open up theirs. There's two separate missions Christ had. This is our letter right here. See? But the pagan demons that are over the Catholic Church and the Jesuits said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to just teach these slaves that any time that they see Israel or 12 tribes in the Bible, that we are to replace it with the church. Ignore its context. Just say it's the church. See? And if they go to church, they'll feel included, and ignore the true context concerning why the disciples wrote letters specifically to the scattered Israelites who were scattered amongst the Gentiles. See? Which is garbage. James and the disciples, Peter was over the church. If he wanted this to be a letter directly to the church, he would have said, a servant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ to the church which are scattered abroad, greeting. So these letters were specifically sent to the lost tribes of Israel. But here's the problem. Israel have no idea they're Israel. So instead of reading the letters in context that they are to you, we must understand that our letters have been intercepted. See? Misdirected, redirected to another people. Could it be the same people who destroyed our temple in 70 AD? Elder Lawyer, let's go to Peter's 1, verse 1.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is Peter. Christ gave the keys to the kingdom to Peter, which means the doctrine that leads to salvation. And the modern day Christian church today have no idea what the teaching of salvation is. So when they try to claim that when you're teaching the truth and the history and all that, well, I don't want to hear that. I don't hear any salvation in it because you don't even know what salvation is. Salvation is truth. Christ is salvation. And he said, I'm the way, the truth, the life, and no man cometh to the Father but by me. You cannot teach salvation through lies. The Most High is a spirit, and he that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. There is no salvation without truth. Peter 1:1, Elder Lawyer, read it.
Yes, sir. 1 Peter 1:1. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father.
Hold up. Elect, that means chosen according to the foreknowledge of God and the Father. Which means, in a nutshell, these were the people who were under the old covenant. The foreknowledge under the old covenant, which was specifically to Israelites. There was no Gentiles under the foreknowledge of God. The laws were given to Israelites. Moses let the Israelites out. Now, were they strangers who was amongst the camps? Of course they were. Okay, but these Gentiles were being led by the Israelites, whom the Most High chose. And that never changed. Even during Christ's time, Gentiles who received Christ were being led by the Israelites over the church. But in our current time, that whole thing had been flipped, and I'm going to show you the deception today. Now check it out. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, Yeshua Mashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So, when you read in Galatia or the book of Galatians, you'll understand the Gentiles Paul was sent to when he set up the church in Galatia. These were Israelites under a Gentile mind. See? An Israelite under a Gentile mind, even though all races of people were invited. If they were willing to put down their pagan, satanic ways and leave the temples of the Gentiles, they could come in amongst the Hebrews and learn. Can y'all see this? I'm breaking it down so that even a layman, someone that's fairly new in this understanding can understand. Right? So the letters were sent to Israelites. When you go to Revelation 7, from the beginning to the end, Revelation 7, verse 1.